Hello YouTubers, welcome back to Yorkshire Media. I am Mark, your host, your presenter, whatever you want me to be. And yes, I am better and cheaper than the BBC. So, what are we talking about today? Well, talking about the history of Matchbox, and I'm going to be doing that. So, talking about Matchbox, the Matchbox name originated in 1953 as a brand name of the British die-cast company Leslie Products, whose reputation was moulded by John W. Jack Odell, 1920-2007, Leslie Charles Smith, 1918 to 2005, and Rodney Smith. The name Leslie's was portmanteau of Leslie and Rodney Smith's first names. Previous owners: Leslie's 1953 to 82, Universal Toys 82 to 92, then Tyco 92 to 97. Introduced 9th of July 53, 1969 years ago. Produced by Mattel, which they own it now. It's all owned by Hot Wheels now, as we all know. Matchbox is a popular brand which was introduced by Leslie Products in 1953 and is now owned by Mattel, which purchased the brand in 1997. The brand was given its name. The brand was given a name because of the original die-cast Matchbox toys were sold in boxes similar to those in which matches were sold in. Correct. Brand grew to encompass a broad range of toys, including larger scale die-cast models, plastic model kits and slot cars, racing and action figures. Yeah, which has to be verified. Specially store for Matchbox collectibles in Berlin, Germany, 2015. Product toys, scale model vehicles. Owner Mattel, 97. Produced by Mattel. Country United Kingdom. Introduced 9th of July 1953, 69 years ago. Related brands: Powertrack. Markets worldwide. Previous owner Leslie's. Universal Toys, Tyco. So Leslie's 1953 to 82, Universal Toys 82 to 92, Tyco 92 to 97. Registered trademarks as trademark in United States. Website matchbox.com. During the 1980s, Matchbox began to switch the more conventional plastic and cardboard blister packs that were used by other die-cast toy brands such as Hot Wheels. The box style packaging was reintroduced for the collector's market in recent years, particularly with these release of the 35th anniversary Superfast series in 2004 and the 50th anniversary Superfast in 2019. Products currently marketed the Matchbox name, including the model plastic die-cast vehicles and toy garages. So, early years: Leslie's the origin of the Matchbox name and 175 series. 1953, 1955, Leslie's Matchbox Road Roller. So that's the Road Roller there. That's the Road Roller there. Road Roller are the first toys to be produced under the Matchbox name. The Matchbox name originated in 1953 as a brand name of the British die-casting company Leslie Products, whose reputation was moulded by John W. Jack Odell, and 1920 Leslie Charles Smith and Rodney Smith. The name Leslie's was portmanteau of the Leslie and Rodney Smith's first names. Their first major sales success was the popular model of the Queen Elizabeth II coronation coach, which sold more than a million a million models. Lesnie's co-owner Jack Odell then created a toy that paved the way for the company's future success. Was designed for his daughter. Her school only allowed children to bring toys that could fit inside a matchbox. So Odell crafted a scaled down version of the Lesnie's Green Red Roller. This toy ultimately became the first of the 175 miniature range of dump truck and cement mixer, and completed the original 3 models release. That marked the starting point of the mass market success Matchbox series. The company decided to sell the models in replica matchboxes, thus yielding the name of the series. Additional models continued to be added to the line throughout the decade, including cars such as an MG Midget, TD, a Vauxhall Cresta, Ford Zodiac, and many others. As the collection grew, it also gradually became more international, including models of Volkswagen, Citroën, and American makes to make such miniatures. The real models even obtaining some. To make the miniatures, the designers took detailed photographs of the real models, even obtaining some original blueprints. This has enabled them to make models with surprisingly high levels of detail. Despite the small scale, the size of the model was allowed Matchbox to occupy occupy a market niche barely touched by the competition. The associated price advantage made the toys affordable and helped establish Matchbox as generic word for small toy cars, whatever the brand. Moco growth development of the 175 overscore Leslie's era Matchbox Ford heavy truck. So yeah, they did the Ford heavy truck. Like I said, I'm just trying to do things a little bit better. Yeah, so they tried to do the Ford heavy, they done the Ford heavy truck there. Ford heavy truck. In the earliest years of the regular 1.75 series, well before the series actually numbered 75 model, Leslie's was marketed and distributed by Moco, itself named after its founder Moses Knoston. Boxers in the era mentioned this was the text A. Moco Leslie's appearing on each. Leslie's gained its independence from Moco in 1959 by buying out Moco's share in the joint enterprise, leading to a period of growth both in sales and size. Early models did not feature windows or interiors, were made entirely of metal and were often about 2 to 5 centimetres in length. By 1968, Matchbox was the biggest selling brand of the small die-cast model cars worldwide. By this time, the average model in their collection featured plastic windows, interior tyres often with separate disc wheels, and occasional accessories. Spring suspension opening parts was about 3/7 long. Some even featured steering, including the pressure-based auto steer system debuting in 1969. The line was very diverse, including lorries, buses, tractors, motorcycles and trailers, as well as standard passenger cars. The 3 dominant brands in the world at the time of British-made Dinky, Matchbox and Corgi were very successful. Each had its own market niche and its own strong reputation, while innovations and advances by one were adopted by the others within a matter of a few years. Each also expanded to some extent into the other's territory, though this is never seemed to seriously affect the sales of any brand car series. As part of Leslie's expansion activities for further die-cast model ranges were introduced during the 1950s and 60s. The models of yesteryear introduced in 1956 were renditions of classic vehicles from the steam era early locomotive. These were often about 3.25 inch length. Accessory packs were also introduced in 1956, including petrol pump, gauge, garages and the like measure, which were larger scale models. Often of construction vehicles were added in 1957. The king size series of larger scale trucks and tractors added in 1960 was diversified from the 1967 onwards to include passenger cars models in scale similar to that used by Corgi and Dinky. Major packs had been absorbed into the king size range by 1968. However, the main focus at Matchbox continued to be their smaller cars. Other brands including Husky, Corgi Junior and Budgie and Cigar Box attempted to complete the Matchbox, but none were particularly successful until American toy giant Mattel introduced the revolutionary low-friction racing wheels on its Hot Wheels line of cars. These models, although less true to scale and often featuring fantasy vehicles with an attractive painted-in bright metallic colours, are fitted with racing-style mag wheels and slick tyres, were marked aggressively and with numerous accessory products such as racetrack sets and the like. The Hot Wheels line often featured models that were decidedly an American in 1969. Second competitor based in the US, Johnny Lightning, entered the market, and the bottom effectively fell out of Leslie's US sales at the same time. The other major market, the UK, was also under attack by competitors. Leslie's response to this was relatively quick, but not quick enough to avoid major financial worries. By creating the Superfast line, this was effectively a transformation of the 1969 line to include low friction wheels, at first narrow since the company needed time to retool the series to accommodate wide tyres, often accompanied with new covers. The result was the first strange but interesting line of fast wheeling cars, trucks and trailers, basically completely 19th century racing track sets and like were also released to allow children to race their cars starting in the 1970s, particularly in 1971. New models appeared with wider tyres, and older models, including trucks still in the line, were retooled to fit slicks. The king size range was similarly updated, including division in Super Kings, mostly trucks, but also with mag wheels and Speed Kings cars. A short-lived series, rechargeable electric cars called Scorpions, was released as well to complete with a similar products from Hot Wheels, Sizzlers and Corgi Electro Rockets. By the mid-1970s, Matchbox was again a force of the world market, having completed transition and having even updated its line to include some fantasy vehicles. The 175 series was also amended to include the Rollermatics, featuring mechanical parts that moved when the vehicles were moving, and streakers. They later and attempted to compete with Hot Wheels' newest innovation, tampo printing on the vehicle itself. Expansion in the superfast era. In attempt to reap more benefits from the regained popularity of the Matchbox brand, at last period of great expansion started with the introduction of multiple new lines, including the Skybusters range of aircraft, including current and historical private, commercial and military planes, Battle Kings, military models, Sea Kings, naval models, Adventure 2000, science fiction models, and the 2-pack series, which revisited the traditional Matchbox idea of a model and associated trailer. So that's what they're talking about. So you see all that? Some models from the series, got a Ferrari, Bonetta, Skoda, 138LR, Snow Track, and SNR16, Overcraft, Weasel, and Scamel snowplow. Unfortunately, early marketing concepts of metallic painted tanks and bright coloured ships were not consistent with market demands, and the models, many of which were quite well made for the money, were generally not successful second editions of the Battle Kings and Skybuster series, were printed in more realistic colours and were all received, but by this time the general economic factors were seriously affecting the ability of the company to make a profit on toys manufactured in England. Of these series, only the Skybusters and, to some extent, the 2-packs survived over time. The Convoy series, articulated trucks, trailers, mostly American, was an offshoot of the 2-packs line and continued under various guises to this day. Rather a simple development in this period, and much philosophical in nature, as product related, initiated a revolutionary change in the marketplace. The Matchbox brand had become the most widely collected of all die-cast toy lines, so see below. The Matchbox collectors in the 1970s and late 80s began to seek contact with collectors, sending representatives to collectors' meets, providing information to the various collectors' clubs, and informally surveying a collector's interest. The result at first in the creation of the several models for collect, such as Yesteryear Model 1, the Black Y1 Ford Model T. The success of this decision led the company to place models of commercial vehicles in the Yesteryear Line 2 vans, at first Talbot and other Model T, which were tempo printed with period advertising for brand name items such as Lipton's tea, Coca-Cola or Sooth. These models were the first commercial vehicles in this series since 1950s. The concept was quickly expanded to include limited editions of the models made for Pacific countries, Atmos Biscuits, Australia, Sunlight, CF Germany, or at the specific request of a company such as Nestle Milk, Tasty Bread and Harrods department stores. This aspect of the business, so-called promotionals, had existed since the 60s but had established itself firmly in the company's culture in the 1970s, which numerous models, particularly of a 175 model, the number 17 London bus. It immediately became evident that the special low volume models of this nature were highly desirable. It immediately became evident that the special low volume models of this nature were highly desirable from both the sponsor and the collector's perspective, as well as being profitable for Matchbox. The market expanded rapidly, leading to increased licensing as well as the development of models no longer aimed at all at the children toy market, but rather at the higher margin premium segment. Economy's difficulties, bankruptcy, and the post-Leslie era, due for more the economic climate in the United Kingdom at the time than to the lack of success of Matchbox brand, even though all the core ranges continued to sell strongly and the company was in difficult financial straits by the end of the 1970s. Matchbox suffered in the same way as its British competitors, following the footsteps of Meccano, Dinky, and just a year before, Metoy, Corgi, Leslie's became bankrupt in June 1982 and went into receivership. The Matchbox brand name, some tooling, moulds, and other assets were sold to Universal Toys David Yeat. Some of the Matchbox tooling became property of the Jack Odell, who continued to market Matchbox yesteryear-like products under the Ledo. It's under Ledo Odell last name in the reverse brand name, but essentially Leslie's Matchbox have been sold to Yi and his group. Yi recognised Leslie's and renamed the group Matchbox International Limited, with Yi as chairman and Jack as president. Yi took the group public in 1986 with a successful IPO. Although the company was no longer British owned, limited production continued in England until the mid 1980s, reusing many of the old Leslie's castings, but most production and tooling was moved to Macau. It was during this period that the Matchbox acquired the rights to the venerated Dinky brand, perhaps the mother of all toy car collectibles, and united two of the most important names in diecast under one roof. New models were created, sometimes dies were also bought from the competing companies, and the Dinky collection was born. Dinky models tended to be more recent classics, particularly 1950s, while yesteryears tended to concentrate on older vintage. It was also during the Universal that the Matchbox collectibles concept was developed. To see below Matchbox collectibles. So the Matchbox collectibles is the transit. Is that transit then? Because of the high labour costs and the lack of enough skilled workers in Hong Kong and Macau, Universal decided to outsource its die casting to mainland China in April 1984. First Hong Kong Shanghai joint venture toy company called Shanghai Universal Toys Co. Limited, usually abbreviated as, was established in Mayang, Shanghai. Was the Hong Kong party, while the Shanghai Toys Import Export Company, the Shanghai Investment Company, the Shanghai government owned investment vehicle, the Bank of China, and Asian Holdings were the Chinese shareholders. The CGV contract was signed off with 20 years period of validity. 1985 saw the first batch of Matchbox toys which had China cast on the base. Dies were imported in Shanghai from the Macau until the early 90s. Macau finally ceased producing Matchbox toys. No dies were designed by Sut, which confined itself to decal painting, assembly and packing, accompanying its metal casting. Suits also had plastic kits and component factory called Shanghai Universal Plastic Toys Company, usually abbreviated as, well, I can't read that. Matchbox PK series, many plastics components were produced there between the last 1980s and the 1990s. Meanwhile, Universal also outsourced die casting capabilities in southern China. The Yongti Toys Company produced Matchbox toys under license from Universal but without fixed assets. Investment purchased by Mattel. So, by 1992, Universal was also seeking a buyer in May 92. It sold the brand to Tyco Toys, the toy division of which was bought out in turn by Mattel in 97, uniting Matchbox with its long-time rival Hot Wheels under the same corporate banner. Under Mattel, the name Matchbox International Limited was terminated. The buyout by Mattel was greeted with considerable trepidation by the Matchbox collectors community. The rivalry between Hot Wheels and the Matchbox brand was not only a battle fought by the company's collectors of each brand, felt strongly about the qualities of their brand of choice. For the typical Matchbox collector, Hot Wheels were inferior in scale and model choice, making them less desirable. There were fears that Mattel would either impose a Hot Wheels style philosophy on the Matchbox line or actually fold the Matchbox line into Hot Wheels series. Hot Wheels series. Early concerns of this nature by collectors were countered by assurances from Mattel that the Matchbox would continue to develop its own product line independently from Hot Wheels, that it was intended that Matchbox represents more realistic and traditional vehicles, while fantasy ones would be placed firmly in Hot Wheels territory. To demonstrate the latter commitment, some very realistic Hot Wheels Caterpillar models were actually rebranded to Matchbox, although that did not assuage concerns about the strength of the former assurances. In 2002, celebrate its 50th anniversary, Skybusters made the comeback, but with Continental Airlines as the only major airline to sponsor the product. In 2003, Matchbox came out with a line special edition cars. And there they are. There's the limited edition cars. Breaking with its committed of the 1990s, Mattel revamped the Matchbox line almost completely in 2003, introducing Ultra Heroes, a series fantasy vehicles as part of a Hero City theme. Matchbox collectors were appalled, and the market didn't respond. The toys proved to be unpopular, and the line was soon discontinued. Next year, Matchbox will new team in charge based in El Segundo, California, started return to the company's roots by selling realistic, well-detailed models, most of which were based on real prototypes. Although mostly in American cars are brands well known and the American market, the representative of the pre-2001 Matchbox logo, albeit without its classic quotation marks, signalled the return to the original it returned to its original, to signal the seriousness of the venture and its commitment to the brand. Mattel introduced a new second 175 series parallel to the standard range, celebrating the 35th anniversary. Superfast models were packaged in Model Pacific blisters packs containing not only the model but also individual traditional style retro boxes arcing back to the to the super fast boxes from about 1970. All castings were of realistic vehicles. Some 1969 castings were reactivated from inclusion in the range. The series was strictly limited in production volume, sold at a premium price, and was a great success. For the Superfast series were released in 2005, 2006 and continued to gain in 2019 and 2020. The Superfast series was later discontinued for 2001, was replaced by the similar Matchbox Collectors line, which are collectors focused vehicles in 1950 style. Retro packing these vehicles are features which were not present on standard cars, such as opening parts and two pieces, and rubber tyres, increased detailing and decorations on the cars. Also in 2005, certain yesteryear castings which had been released during the Tyco early Mattel era as part of the muscle car series of Matchbox collectibles were re-released in 1971. Style, retro packing and retro wheels on Super Kings, considered by many to be strange name choice, since models of that nature had been called Speed Kings in the 1970s. Following the Aero City fiasco, the name being dropped in late 2005 of MBX, Mattel showed interest in reviving the Matchbox brand. However, since Matchbox Collectibles was shut down, Mattel's interest have always been concentrated on a very few series of the Matchbox legacy. 175 Sky Busters, Convoys, and to some extent the two packs, although they're sold under a different name, high-tech in all, although small numbers of Super Kings and yesteryear were released at times. No new castings were created. Battle Kings reappeared on the market in 2006, not as a king-size mold but rather as a name of a military orientated two-pack style sets of regular size models. The Dinky name has effectively been reduced to a few rebranded Matchbox 175 cars on the international market. Normal models with Dinky Tampo printed on it onto the base plate. No further investment in dies tooling was made. It appeared that the classic brand, once saved by Matchbox, would be allowed by Mattel to languish or die once again. 2019, Matchbox launched the moving parts, which was vehicles that incorporated opening features such as hoods, doors. Some vehicles in the series harken back to the older Leslie's castings, such as the Volkswagen Type 3 and the Pontiac Grand Prix. These vehicles will usually retail for twice the amount of a standard Matchbox car. Green strategy. On Thursday, April the 15th, 2021, Matchbox announced that they will make a 1/64 scale of Tesla's Roadsters in 2022, made out of the 99% recycled materials, 6.2 recycled zinc, 1% stainless steel, and 36.9 recycled plastic, classified as a carbon neutral product. This move was made as part of the plan for the brand to become more environmentally sustainable, and Matchbox pledged to make all their cars packaging out of 100% recycled materials. The year 2030, the first Matchbox cars to feature the recycled packaging will be the Power Grabs assortment. In addition, Matchbox launched an EV theme pack with Nissan Leaf, Toyota Prius and BMW i3, BMW i8 and International E-Star, and also announced the EV charging stations will be featured in 2 playsets to encourage environmental conscientious among children. So encourage environmental conscientious amongst children. The model numbering. So we do this. Lesney's gradually increased their number of models in its standard matchbox series. They range from the 1953 to 75 to in 1975 to in 1960. The 175 range would then remain at 75 models for almost 40 years. When a new model was released, the exciting model was discontinued, its number being reallocated. So this meant that the dealer display stands only had to accommodate 75 models. New owners, Mattel, expanded the regular US market Matchbox series to 100 models for the 1990s, but changed it back to 75 models. For 2001, the US range was again increased from 75 to 100 models for 2008, and then further expanded to 120 models for 2012, and then to 125 in 2016. These changes were not applied in all markets. Actually, numbering of the 175 series number on the individual models starting in the mid-50s, numbers were casting onto the base plate was discontinued in Universal era. This was in part due to new concept of offering country Pacific line models for many of the key markets, which led to the same casting being used under different numbers in different markets in recent years. Mattel sequentially casting no EGM 687 unrelated to any 175 number used in any market is cast onto each base plate. The relevant 175 numbers is printed on the blister pack or box. Other boxes range also had identifying numbers casting and their bases, many of which were reallocated as older models were retired in new ones introduced. The numbering configurations are listed in the series of overview section below. However, the exceptions of the yesteryear line, which was L to 16 models for well over a decade before being expanded greatly, and was no other case. Strict series size limitation by Leslie. So that's Matchbox for you. So that's a small history on Matchbox. If by any chance you've liked that little bit of history, I mean, I used to have the petrol pumps for, and because my Uncle Percy made me a garage, and we used to have, the car lifters, things like that. So yeah, I used to have all the Matchbox toys at one time. So if you have liked that, and you have liked this presentation of Matchbox, history of Matchbox, please give me a thumbs up. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you're new. Hit that bell icon. That will let you know when I'm uploading another video. Please come back from time to time to make sure that you still subscribe to me. Please. And this is important. Please share the video to your friends and your family and to other social media like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch and Bing. And please use the comment section. Let's have a please use the comment section. Let's have a talk. And I do try and answer all your questions and comments. Thank you for watching. This has been the Yorkshire Media production, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now. Bye. Catch you all later. I know it's a long one. I hope you've enjoyed your cup of tea. Bye for now.